When someone says the word Miller, what do you think of? Art? Restaurants? Shopping? Beach homes? Gary? Today we have two people who are leading another set of initiatives to keep this important neighborhood of Miller vibrant and alive. Joining us are Karren Lee, who is the president of the Miller Beach Arts and Creative District, and Eric Reaves, who is the co-founder and president emeritus of that same organization. Eric, I thought they gave emeritus to people like who were, you know, close to death or something, that title. I mean, you look pretty healthy and alive here.
I am pretty healthy. They probably just gave that to me just so I wouldn't, you know, scream about me.
It sounds pretty cool, though, don't you think?
I thought so. It's probably the best name I've ever had, emeritus.
I would keep it. And Karren, how long have you been president of this organization now?
About a year and a half. I'm
okay.
Going into my, I took over when Eric retired from it and became emeritus, and went now going into my second year as official.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Miller. And so, you know, maybe people who aren't really familiar with Miller, and we'll talk about that in a second, but tell us one thing that's like just real exciting about Miller, or something that somebody doesn't know about Miller, perhaps?
Well, I think the history of Miller is pretty interesting as far as the arts are concerned, because all the way back to the 1920s, silent films were done there, produced there. And,
is there a famous one?
You know, I don't know, but there were quite a few that, you know, people came out from Chicago to film in the dunes. So we have to imagine
Charlie Chaplin?
Yeah, that kind of thing, yeah. And then, you know, in the 40s and 50s, Nelson Algren and Simone de Beauvoir had their love cabin there, where they wrote some of their most famous books. And Miller has always been known for art, and it continues today.
See, and I thought they were just beach homes, love cabins. I mean, this sounds like you have a love boat or something.
Like a love shack. That's
yeah, a love shack.
Love shack.
We're going to go all over the place with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So how about something from you, something that people don't know about Miller?
People probably don't know that the birth of flight really kind of took place there with Octave Chanute, who was a scientist who actually modeled and launched his gliders off the dunes, and who later gave that science, or shared that science, with the Wright brothers.
Now, I should know this because I know a lot about the history of Gary, but did the Miller Beach area, did it grow up first before the steel mills came?
Exactly.
Okay.
It was a train stop, and it was just a little town. It was mainly founded by the Swedes, and but then when you know, Judge Gary came in, and the whole Gary industrial thing happened, it was annexed. Miller was annexed.
I always wondered about that. So we went from the love shack or the love cabin to the Miller Beach area, and then we put a steel mill there.
Yeah.
So it's really quite a transition, right? So you both are involved with this Miller Beach Arts and Creative District, and you guys, and I talked about kind of revitalization again. It seems like the Miller neighborhood just kind of had this, it really goes well for a while, and it kind of maybe takes a little bit of a dip, and kind of really goes well, and maybe a little bit of a dip. What phase are we in right now?
It's on the upswing, big time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's on the upswing. I think when the Arts District was envisioned, one of the things it was supposed to do is to be a catalyst for regeneration. I don't use revitalization, I like to use the word regeneration. But it ebbs and flows, and I think sometimes it goes along with the economy. But like Karren said, it's on a serious upswing with 5 new businesses on the block that we feel that the Arts District had a piece in inspiring.
And we'll talk about how that's kind of playing in. But Karren, for people who aren't as familiar, and I'm always amazed at how many people even live in this region and don't know, and I think a lot of people think Miller is that strip of homes right along the beach there, kind of on the, east side of Gary, right? But Miller's kind of, there's kind of like sections to Miller, right? How would you kind of describe the geographic layout of Miller? What's there?
Well, there's the most wonderful beach and most wonderful dunes area. It's a great recreation area, and people do come from all over to participate in that. Lake Street, which is the biggest retail district, and at one time was just thriving, but of course, like everything else in the country, when the economy went down and the suburbs started, a lot of retail was taken away. So, plus there's all these wonderful people and very talented people that live in these great houses, not only on the beach.
Well, you know what seems to me, in many ways, Miller is kind of a section of the city, but it's almost like there are multiple neighborhoods really in Miller, right?
Yes, there's Etna and Glen Ryan, and there's a neighborhood that's the lakefront. So all of them kind of are split up into neighborhoods.
Okay, and the business district, and then really kind of where the Marquette Park now is, and along the beach is kind of itself a place. Mm-hmm. So it really is a number of components that make up that Miller section.
That's correct.
What always throws me off a little bit, because I mean the homes, some of the home areas are really nice, but it looks like sometimes just right around the business district is some of the most challenged homes or neighborhoods, or there's a lot of empty lots and things, it seems like, right around the business district. What's up with that?
We've noticed that, and it's a problem, I think, for the image of Miller and Gary. There are some derelict buildings. There is a plan to have those removed, and we're working very energetically on that. But yes, that is.
Which is interesting, because in most of the comprehensive plans that are developed today in the walkable neighborhoods, and I know you do a lot of this kind of work in Chicago too, is the whole concept is you've got this anchor like the business district or a park or a school or something, and the neighborhood around it really kind of thrives. That kind of works in parts of Miller, and parts of Miller it doesn't work in real well.
So part of our initiative is to develop a transit-oriented development, or TOD, around the neighborhood and business district with the South Shore train there. And what we hope is to strengthen the business district and hope that it burgeons, or builds out. So it's a starting point, is where the arts district is and the business district, to take care to envelop the homes and make them live work areas perhaps for artists. And so there's somewhat of a plan there that we have. And I know that the mayor's administration, current Mayor Karren Lee, kind of has taken the plan and given it to the federal people who are in to help her. And it's a regeneration for the whole area.
Now, you call it kind of a plan, but I've heard you guys talk about this a little bit more. There's really kind of a pretty bold vision here for this.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about some of the boldness of that vision?
Well, the boldness is to, just what you were talking about, make the approach to Miller look inviting. And the One City, One Community initiative and the federal EPA, HUD, et cetera, sustainable community people have been working with the Miller Arts District and the businesses and some of the other organizations in Miller to find out what we feel is holding Miller back and what they can do. And they've come up with a very exciting plan that they are going to be rolling out in the middle of September.
Is their plan different than what you guys were kind of envisioning?
Actually, they took the information that our planning committee, which Eric is the chairperson of, and used a lot of it, and I think he could tell you more about that.
Close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes necessarily, but okay, the audience closes their eyes. Paint this picture, because I've seen and heard you guys talk about some of this, and it's pretty exciting. Paint the picture.
So I'm going to paint the picture. You're driving from Chicago on the toll road, and you're able to get off an exit at Lake Street to go north. So you start at Lake Street. There's not an exit there now, but there is room to put a toll road exit there. And you travel north on Lake Street, and you come to the first stop, light, and you have McDonald's there. You proceed across the tracks to what will begin the business area, a lot there that we have the farmers market every Sunday, and you just proceed north towards the lake front.
First of all, the business district is going to have all these thriving businesses.
Already started.
It's already started. So, like I've said, we have 18th Street Brewery that come online, which is a small independent brewery. Miller Bakery Cafe has come online, is back, and that's a big, vibrant part of the community. And what we're trying to do is build capacity for businesses and sustainability. So the eyes are still closed, I'm sure, from the public.
That's right. They're still
closing and still visioning. So you're driving north, and you're passing. You're getting the smells from the Bakery Cafe, a new bakery that just opened. And you go down, and there's a 444 restaurant that's open that serves jerk chicken. So you pass that up. If you can pass it up, you might have to stop and open your eyes and say, "Okay, let me stay there for a minute." And if you'll see some great artwork in the Marshall J. Gardner Art Center, which is the headquarters for the Arts District. And if you get past all of that, and so if you start in the morning and it's about noon, you go down to the lakefront.
Okay, now I'm going to stop you there because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to park my car.
Okay, park your car.
Okay, and I'm going to have Karren walk me the rest of the way.
Okay.
So now we're walking. What are we walking toward?
Okay, we're walking towards the beach, and we're going to spend an afternoon on the beach looking across the lake and seeing the Chicago skyline. And we're also looking down the future to where there is a resort hotel there that people can come in from outlying areas.
Okay, I still got my eyes closed, so I want to imagine right now. I'm tired of walking, and so I'm looking for the hotel, right? So there's this really cool resort?
Yes, yes, that will partner with the state park, the national park, and it'll be a great natural resource and walk that they can take us through, that the park people will take us through.
So there's going to be a restaurant in the
There will be a restaurant.
hotel?
Yes, you can rent.
So it's going to be a big place or a small place?
150
or?
rooms.
Yeah, that's.
150 rooms.
Or a couple hundred maybe even, right?
No,
Well,
just
we'll grow.
150.
We'll grow.
We'll grow.
Okay.
We want to, we want to make big plans, but we also want to
Be realistic,
Be
yes.
realistic.
Okay.
But it's studies have shown that it would support 150 rooms.
So as we walk down there, I'm also knowing, because I've seen some of these plans, there's some new condos, some new houses and things have been built, kind of infilling some of those empty places?
Absolutely. That's part of the plan
Because
for
people are
the.
dying to come there, right?
They are. A lot of people are coming there. You know, the brewery is bringing a lot of young people in, which we think is very important to the growth of our area. But it's also been a bedroom community for people in Chicago for a long time, and they're bringing their friends. So more and more is happening residentially as well as retail.
Okay.
And
I want to shift to that because you do some work in Chicago. There is, I think sometimes some people believe, you know, Miller's just full of all the Chicago people. That's all that lives there is a bunch of people from Chicago or people who just come over. Is that true?
No, I grew up there, lived there for 43 years, and Karren even longer than I won't go into how long she was there. She can let her say that.
44, right?
Yeah, 44. But it's not just Chicago people. It's like she said, it's a bedroom community. People who work in Chicago. But there is an influx of Chicago people, but not all Chicago people. It's a great mix. We have a great mix of people. I always say it's a kaleidoscope.
And also, I think that one thing to note is we have so many people who move here for their second home, and pretty soon they're selling their Chicago place and they're living full time. And then they get really involved in what's going on in Miller because it's just that kind of community.
And what's interesting when we talk about diversity, you know, the old common thing is we quickly look on, you know, I'm white and you're black, and so, oh, there's diversity, right? Really, Miller is way more diverse in terms of, describe some of the other diversity there. Who else is living in Miller?
We have a lot of very talented people. We have people that are in theater, in the Shakespearean Theater in Chicago. We have documentarians that are in Miller. We have some amazing artists that show their work all over the world. Musicians. So we're very blessed to have such a diverse group of talent and dedicated
And then we have
residents.
young people like you guys, and some of them even younger, and some older ones.
Yes.
And we have a strong gay lesbian community that's widely accepted. So as far as that kind of diversity, there's cross gender people who practice that or are that. And it's just the norm. Nobody says anything. Nobody does anything. It accepts everyone.
It's a very eclectic kind of neighborhood.
It is.
Now, part of this regeneration, is that the word you like
Regeneration.
to use? Regeneration. Okay, we're going to use the word regeneration. Is built around this model of an art district. And can you explain a little bit about what that model is? I mean, what's the basic premise here? What's going to happen?
Well, we started off by doing local artist pop-ups in buildings that were empty on Lake Street, and we advertised it, and we found out that more than 200 people for our very first pop-up from all over came to see it. And what we heard was that they loved looking at the art, and they were so glad, many of them, to come back and see what was happening in Miller. And that was sort of our start. We were then donated the Miller drugstore Marshall J. Gardner family donated the abandoned drugstore to us.
That was like an old what? Just
1950s building, really a very, it's 6,000 square feet.
so kind of a traditional what you would go in 1950s as a drugstore.
Right.
Right.
Which means they probably sold everything in there, right?
They did.
They did.
Cosmetics and,
Yeah.
and everything
did.
else.
And really cool candy and cigars. and all
Candy,
that kind of stuff.
cigars, beer, wine, everything.
Yeah, they
Maybe
did.
that's the model for the whole community there, that all those pieces of the old drugstore to come back. That'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
It would be, around the art.
Around the art. Okay,
Around the art.
so we're back to the art. The art's driving this process.
Right, and so now with this new building that we transformed by volunteers into a really first-class art gallery that has drawn in people from all over. I mean, the Art Institute of Chicago graduate students curated an exhibit there. We've had graffiti artists that have, 40 artists that have transformed 19 surfaces on Lake Street into public art. That is kind of the clubhouse for a lot of the Miller organizations, and it draws people from all over to see what we're doing.
So what's the basic premise? Because you've been at this since you're the founder of this. So what was your idea when you kind of started putting this thing together?
Really, being an A-type personality, I'm a photographer, and I wanted someplace to control and show my own work. So in researching that on the street, I thought, I started popping up on the web about arts districts and how they revitalize communities, and I lived in a community that needed to be revitalized. So that's how it came about. So then I put out a notice to people, talked to people like Karren, and said, hey, would you come and talk about an arts district? So we told everybody who was negative to stay away, and we kicked them out of the meeting, and everybody who was positive stayed. And Karren,
You got to do that sometimes, don't you? I mean, just really.
Oh, everywhere, I think.
everywhere. But it worked, because I had people who said, I'll be involved, but I don't want to do any of the negative stuff. And Karren and her husband, Pat, and some other people said, let's do this. If you lead, I'll follow. And that's exactly what happened, and it just caught on. I think the first meeting was 56 people. We found the building, it was donated, and we went on from there. We didn't stop.
Yeah.
I just created this online. It'll be documented here video-wise. So you're going to say, oh, I've heard this before. What does this mean to you if you say art draws people and people draw art?
Can we coin that line, or is that
I
your
know.
line?
No,
You just thought of that.
Copyright right there, okay?
Well, I just asked you for it.
Let's just say, and I didn't give it, did I?
No, you didn't.
But think about it, art draws people.
It absolutely
right?
does.
But
It
people
does.
also draw art. So which really, are people coming there for the art, or are people coming there so they can create art?
Both. Absolutely both.
Both.
Is there a stronger piece to that?
I don't
I
think.
don't know.
I think it's equal.
Yeah.
People come to see the art, but then we have an equal amount of people who say, "Hey, I create art. Can this be an outlet?"
Okay. If I'm not a big art person, why would I want to live in Miller?
Well, what our goal was to be as diverse in our showings, our exhibits, as the community that we live in. And what we want to do is draw people back to Miller that used to be here years ago and felt that it was a recreational place where you could do everything you wanted. So we've not only had art exhibits, but we had a classic car show that drew in a lot of people from Highland. I don't know why that is, but and we also have had Ed Asner as a national figure come and do his performance of FDR. That was very well received. We've had 10 Tibetan monks come and draw a sand mandala on the floor of the gallery, and we had hundreds of people come through to watch that. It was quite impressive. So we're not trying to appeal to any particular style or school of art, but to everybody.
But a broad set.
Right.
We're down to a couple minutes, so just both of you, this is your chance to kind of throw out a couple things that are coming up ahead, or you want to see there.
Okay.
A couple things are going to happen.
On Friday night, we have a artist from Trinidad that is going to be doing a video of Lake Michigan with a person on the lake, and we've not done something like this, so we are all very excited.
Okay. Something out there in the future.
My collaboration with Michigan City and the Bezic Center, and collaboration with the Astor Gates, who has the art block in Chicago, University of Chicago.
Which I know are some of the things that you guys talked about. Is you've got to reach outside for some other partnerships. So Last thought here. If I gave you the magic wish, you could change one thing about Miller to make it great. One really quick thing you could change.
Oh, I think we need to clean it up and make it look prettier. We're working on that.
Okay, you'd come in and spread the magic dust and it would just turn beautiful.
Potholes would be removed.
Very good. And you
More businesses.
Okay.
Economic development.
All of a sudden you'd see 20
20
new
businesses
there,
open. Yes.
all thriving.
All
and great.
thriving, yes.
Well, these things happen because of people like you who take the leadership, and I really appreciate that and appreciate all you're doing, because I think you've got a great vision and we're going to see some great things in Miller. So stay tuned, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So often, most of us just think way too small. We take what could be and turn it into maybe. Whatever happened to bold ideas? Where are the visionary thinkers that see a world that's grander, amazing, vastly improved? Daniel Burnham, the great architectural father of Chicago, said, "Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood and probably themselves will not be realized. Make big plans. Aim high in hope and work." I love that. I was involved with the creation of the Northwest Indiana 2040 plan. Our goal was to envision what our region would be in 30 years. My excitement was high, and there were many great ideas which surfaced and were incorporated into the final product. Yet there were times when the discussions were so lackluster. For example, transportation. When we talked about how we would be transported throughout the region, we kept talking about trains. Don't get me wrong, I love trains and know they have a vital role in public transportation. Wake up, everyone. We're talking about how we get around 30 years from now. I'm thinking I'll be George Jetson zipping around in his little transport module. I want to be whipped through a pneumatic tube moving me from point A to point B in a matter of seconds. How about beam me up, Scotty? Those are bold, imaginative ideas. Yes, I understand that our technology may not be there, but without that kind of brash, far-reaching thought, we will still be stepping onto the steel, rolling on the tracks. In the 60s, President John F. Kennedy declared that we will go to the moon in this decade. That was an incredible statement to make in light of the technology that existed. Do you realize that jet engines, computers, and radar systems were still in their infancy? He challenged us despite the naysayers and skeptics, and we did it. If we plan on incremental change, slow gains, minimal progress, we keep our thinking small. Not me. I want our region, Chicagoland, even the world, to be an incredible place where innovation and change make our lives better. I don't want to be the caveman who picks up a bone and wonders, who ate the meat, or how can I hit someone with it? I want to be the monkey in Stanley Kubrick's film 2001 that picks up the bone and imagines a spaceship. Let's get on board with big plans that stir hearts and give hope. I'm on that train. Thanks for watching our show. We want to hear your thoughts. Did we stir them and make you think? Send your comments to our email address on the screen or reach us through our website. You may also visit the website and watch past episodes of Lakeshore Focus. There are some great shows, so take some time to watch one. Join us next week for another Lakeshore Focus. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.